Alright, so today I'll do a review on the Kawasaki Ninja 250R. This is a 2010 model, it's in black. It is a pretty standard Ninja Kawasaki. So, why did I get this bike? Why did I get this bike over a CBR 250R, over a Suzuki 250? Why did I choose this bike instead of those bikes? Well, they're all pretty much the same. All the 250s are pretty much the same, really. As I said in my video before, the salesman pretty much just said the same thing to me, like, look mate, 250, they're all pretty much the same. You know, say similar sort of power, maybe in different spots here and there. They're probably all going to handle slightly the same. And it's pretty much just which one you want to look at when you open the garage every day. What do you want to see in your garage when you open that door? And honestly, this is what I chose. This is what I chose. Maybe because of the power, like it's got like a little bit more top end, and I'd say it does look the best out of all the 250s in that sort of price range that I was looking for. So that's why I got the bike. Now that I've had it for 6 odd months, what do I think of it? I would say it's a good bike. It is a good bike. I can't fault it. It does everything it's meant to do. It's really easy to ride. It's pretty good for power compared to other 250s. Pretty good little, you know, torque curve. It handles reasonably well for a learner bike. It looks good. It hasn't broken down on me. It's been fine. So that's, I guess, the good things I think about this bike now. Why did I get the 250RR, the CBR 250RR? Why did I get that? And why am I trying to sell this bike instead of waiting for the next 6 months for my lamps to finish? Well, the CBR 250RR is much more exciting than this bike. Much more. This bike is a lot easier to ride, but it isn't the most exciting all the time. Going to work and stuff, sure, it's great, you know, you just putt around. You know, it's got torque pretty much straight away. You don't have to wait until 10,000 RPM to go anywhere. It's fairly upright, as I said in my video before. Easy to ride, easy to turn, really pretty good around a car park, you know, good turning circle. The handlebars are pretty far away from the tank, so you don't have to worry about knocking your hands on the tank. I've done a 1.5 hour trip up to the Sunshine Coast in this thing, and that was not the most comfortable of rides, but it wasn't death. I got there in the end. I had to have a little stop for food, but you know, I did get there in the end and it was fine. On the way back I did the same thing and it was fine. I had my backpack and my tank bag on, and you know, even with that extra weight, the ride wasn't too bad. So, yes, the bad things like you can say about this bike, it's a carburetor. It's got its fuel mix from a carburetor, not from a computer and fuel injectors. So, obviously it's not going to be as tuned as it could possibly be. It's not going to maybe sound as good as it possibly could be. It's just going to be fairly fiddly. You know, you can say when you have to start it up, you have to warm it up. In the cold, when I got it in winter, so I had to, you know, choke it every time when I started. And that gets a little bit annoying. Fuel injected bike, you know, the computer just goes, oh yes, it is 18 degrees outside, the water temp and the oil temp are this and this and this. I will adjust the timing and fuel maps to accommodate such temperatures. So, you know, obviously you're going to deal with that. But I mean, you know, that's not really a big deal, to be honest. This is a good bike. I'm not saying I hate this bike. This is a very reliable bike, it's very easy to ride. I've definitely had some fun in it. Going out with mates, taking it, going up the mountains, twisties. I've had some very good times up my local mountain. It's been a very good bike to learn skills on, the leaning and the canter steering, lane splitting. I've done a fair bit of lane splitting in it. So it's fairly narrow in its dimensions. It's pretty good on fuel. I've done a few little mods to this thing because, well, that's just the kind of guy that I am. I'm always trying to improve this and that and see what this does. So what have I done to this bike? I've done a Dynajet kit to the carbies. Did that myself. Wasn't too difficult. I'm a little bit mechanically minded, so I've got some experience. I've never really done too much on carbies. It was probably the first carburetor I've ever pulled apart, so that was a little bit of a learning curve. But yeah, I did the Dynajet kit, and that definitely improved the bike. It wasn't like adding a turbo or anything, but it really increased the low end and the mid-range. The high end stayed probably about the same, but that wasn't really the problem with the bike. It was definitely the low end and the mid-range that I had the most trouble with. It's just made the bike a lot more exciting to ride around town and up the mountains and stuff. So that's probably the major mod. Oh, and I did a K&N air filter, if you can call that a mod. I wasn't really going for the modification idea. It was more of a, replacement air filter that you never need to replace. What do they say? A lifetime guarantee on those things. For 50 bucks instead of paying $20, $30 for each one whenever you need one or whenever you go out to a dusty area, pretty much. I also did a rear fender eliminator for it, so that's made it look a whole lot better. So here's the bike, Ninja 250R, single R, in black. It's got new tyres on it. It looks pretty good. I do think it does look good. For a 250 anyway. It does have that big bike sort of look. Standard exhaust. The rear fender, yes, the rear fender. So, here it is. That's pretty much it there. I've got LED bolt lights. They're kind of cool. They make it look a little bit fresher. And yeah, it just sort of replaces the standard thing that goes here, and choo, there it is. So is this a good first bike for you? Or is it a good bike for anyone? What do I think? What do other people think? The general consensus for this bike is that it is a very good first bike. It's very easy to ride. It doesn't have any problems. They're fairly new. You can learn a lot of skills fairly easy. It's not too hard on your body to ride. So you can ride it for long distances and still be able to get around. So it is definitely a very good first bike for anyone. Is it a good bike for someone that's been riding for a while? Maybe for an experienced guy that has ridden the faster bikes, he would be very bored with it. But it is cheap. You can ride them forever and ever. They don't really break down. So, second bike perhaps to get around town, to go to work, to go down to the shops just quickly. Does that job real good. They're cheap, so that's another factor in if you were to make a decision for this bike. They're cheap, easy, reliable, look good. You can't go too wrong with them unless you do want more from a bike. If you want more power, more torque, you know, better position, better handling. Obviously, these things are a bit lacking in this bike. So, obviously that must come into the decision-making process. Should you get this bike, or should you get the Ninja 300? Honestly, I think if you have the money, you will enjoy the 300 a lot more than this bike. When I first got this bike, I thought this was pretty good for a starting bike. Didn't really know too much about bikes. About a month later, a close friend of mine got himself a 300. And I thought, oh, you know, 50 cc's, what could that be? Fuel injected or whatever, you know, it's a lamb's bike anyway. Can't do that much better. He gave me a ride, and I was extremely surprised at the difference fuel injection and that 50 cc's make. It's got torque and power virtually instantly when you turn the throttle. It's just a pop off, and you're going. I was very jealous and envious of him, and for the price that he got his, I was like, oh, I should have saved up some more, or I should have done something to get my hands on one of these bikes. But you know, that's life, really. It's your first bike anyway, you're gonna sell it. There's plenty more power for later on in your riding career. Comparing it to my 250RR that I've got now, that I love so much, I enjoyed riding this bike now. After I've ridden that bike for it's been about a month now. I got it at the start of December. Yeah, start of December, so it's start of January now. So I've been riding that bike for about a month, and I've gotten back on this, and I do enjoy this bike more than I did before. I think it's because it's just so much easier. I've realised that ease of riding is quite a big deal. This is a lot easier to ride. The torque is more available down low than my 250RR. Have I regretted buying another bike for lambs? Not particularly. I really love my 250RR. It's older, but it's so much more fun. It's such a more passionate sort of bike. This is a good bike, but it doesn't have too much character. It does the job. It does the job very well, though. It's a practical, functional bike. Bottom line for this bike, 250 Ninja R. It's a really good bike. I can't fault it. It doesn't give me a adrenaline rush as much as my other bike, or other bikes that are available. But you can't go wrong riding this bike. You won't go wrong.